All right, let's head over to the stage to get started with our round 3 match here at the Pokemon World Championships. And for this one, we are going to be featuring Leonardo Bonanomi going up against Go Hirabara.
Rotom Heat's maybe the most popular Pokemon you want to put on your team, and you just feel like you don't have enough room for it. So I'm really excited to find out how Go was able to implement Rotom Heat onto the squad and if it works out for them.
But it's time to head into the match. It will be the Yveltal instead, though, to start, going up against, with the Regieleki, going up against Kyogre and Zacian. Very strong leads from both trainers. And
here is another Yveltal like we saw at the end of day 1. It's a restricted Pokemon that seems like it has not found its footing in VGC Series 12 this season. So in this slot, it doesn't look like it's necessarily too great into either of these restricteds on Leonardo's side there. If it is Assault Vest, which is a very commonly held item for Yveltal, you're not too concerned about the Water Spout. It'll still be very strong, but I don't believe it would be a one-hit KO thanks to the Assault Vest. So that's something Leonardo's going to have to find out through the set, is what is this Regieleki? Is it the light screen set where it's, really frustrating to deal with, an Electro Web and just trying to be a nuisance, or is it all-out damage with Life Orb or Magnet trying to knock you out? And what is that Yveltal held on? We got to find out. Is it Black Glasses, Assault Vest? That's what Leonardo really needs to fish for, that information these first couple turns.
Yeah, especially since the Regieleki and the Yveltal can have quite a few different looks. A great way to just find out is to apply that early pressure going into this, and that's going to be the Dynamax Kyogre with the powerful moves, especially making sure it can survive some hits. It will be the Reflect from the Regieleki, going for a bit more of a passive approach to make sure that the physical attacks are going to be eliminated, especially that Play Rough hitting so hard into the Yveltal. Thanks to the Reflect, will survive though, and allowing to fire off a Snarl in retaliation. Of course, this is going to be great for lowering the special attack coming out from this Kyogre next. It will be the Hailstorm to just go into, actually, it could have finished on Yveltal. Instead, though, targeting into Regieleki, bringing it way down, but because of the hail, should be able to finish it off.
Even with the Snarl, it still brings Regieleki so low on that turn where the hail is going to be able to knock it out. So that just shows how frail Regieleki is as a Pokemon there. It's going to be a hit. It's not going to be enough for the Yveltal there. We saw, actually, it looks like, depending on how the HP works, that next turn Yveltal would be knocked out from the hail if Yveltal does not go for an Oblivion Wing to recover some HP. But I think if you are Go, you're kind of okay with the Yveltal just clicking Snarl, really hindering the damage that the Kyogre can provide. Leonardo does not want to switch it out as it just uses Dynamax, so you don't want to waste those 3 turns. So you're going to have to kind of suffer through having your lowered special attack on the Kyogre. But because the Zacian is still, relatively healthy on Leonardo's side, it could be good. Now we have to worry about the speed ties, right? But when you see 2 Zacians on the field, it's one more offensively trained and, attacking speeds, is something have more, defense and not really investing to be as fast. That's a thing that Leonardo is maybe worried about on this turn, and that's why he switches it out.
Yeah, instead, bringing in the Incineroar, you don't have to worry about the speed ties, and it's a great time to get an Intimidate off on that Zacian to make sure, even if the speed tie was something to be lost, you're not going to be hitting me as hard. Anyways, not the only person that's going to be pivoting, though. That Yveltal is not going to be sticking around on the field, and the Gastrodon from the back is going to be coming in. Normally fantastic against these Kyogres. A passive turn all around as the Zacian goes for this Protect, as another round of Max Hailstorm is coming out, hitting into this Gastrodon slot, dealing a good chunk of damage, all things considered, since it is a Gastrodon.
Right, and it does more damage than what Max Kaiser would have, right? Because it would have just went into the Storm Drain. So a very safe play for Leonardo, paying off for him there, because if you go for the Max Hailstorm, you always have to worry. When you see that little Sea Slug in the background, in the back of the team preview, you have to worry about it switching in on a Kyogre, and especially when you are Dynamax, you don't have Water Spout, you don't have Origin Pulse, you only have single target moves, so that Storm Drain would be such a problem for it. The Max Hailstorm is a neutral attack, but if you think about it, if you're able to waste Kyogre's 3 turns by clicking Max Hailstorm or forcing it to click Max Hailstorm Storm the entire time. That's somewhat of a win for Go. You're not letting it use as much damage or get as much damage off on the Kyogre as you want. And then for you haven't even used your Dynamax yet at this point. So I wonder, it's got to come down to the Gastrodon because Zacian can't do it, and Yveltal has 14 HP.
Well, Zacian on the other end is going to be swapping out, bringing Yveltal back in its place. Yveltal definitely not the healthiest thing around considering how much damage it took earlier on, but the swap on the other slot, this means we are going to see the Dynamax Gastrodon coming out. We're about to get the big slug.
It's the best thing you can do, and if you max Quake 3 times, no matter, the Kyogre already has a Snarl decreasing its special attack, it would be doing even less damage if that's what Gastrodon wants to opt for.
There's something so wonderful about seeing a Dynamax Gastrodon out on the field. Max Lightning into the Yveltal. It only needed a little bit of damage and super effective hit. It is going to be eliminated, but keeping other Pokemon safe. At this point, Hirabara is down to his final 2 Pokemon.
And if Leonardo was worried about a yawn from the Gastrodon, that's what the Max Lightning is able to get rid of that option on Go's side.
Really nice, though, Gastrodon. We're not going to see yawns for a hot second. We're not going to see the most damage either, as a parting shot coming out to lower that special attack. And instead of we're going to be swapping out in place of the Rillaboom, a great counter into the Gastrodon.
And this is a really scary spot for the Gastrodon to be in. You don't want to be Dynamax in front of a Rillaboom who has access to priority moves, making it faster than anything else. Even Zacian would be faster, typically not with Grassy Glide up.
Definitely not. Look at the damage that hit into. It did nothing. It did basically nothing. The Hail Chip would have been doing more at this point.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So now the Kyogre's 3 turns of Dynamax are over. What value did it provide? It got rid of the Regieleki thanks to its hit and then the knockout from the Hail, and now Go is down to his final 2 Pokemon. So even considering that the Snarl hindered its damage, that's still a pretty solid Dynamax for Leonardo on the in this game, I should say. So you'll take that. You have the 4-2 Pokemon advantage. You have a Gastrodon who can essentially never attack because once you don't protect in front of Rillaboom, you just have to eat a Grassy Glide. So that's a really precarious position for Go to be in right now. But you want to attack because Gastrodon is your Dynamax in this game, and that's your best chance of doing a lot of damage. Even the Kyogre has been out here for like four or 5 turns so far, and it's hardly taken any damage at all. So I think Leonardo's just in a really strong spot.
Yeah, you were worried about the mileage that Kyogre was going to be getting with that Dynamax, but the Max Hailstorm, even if it isn't the Max Geyser coming out, it does still provide a lot of damage considering how strong, especially that this Kyogre is. So it's still got enough impact to bring Leonardo into this game state. The Kyogre is going to be swapping out, though, bringing the Incineroar back in. Since it is the final 2 Pokemon on Go's side, this means that the Intimidate sticking on the Zacian are going to stick. No Protect from the Gastrodon means it is going to be eliminated, and now it's Zacian against the world.
Yeah, 4-1 Pokemon count is not the position that Go wants to be in, and Behemoth Blade only being a neutral attack into the Rillaboom is not going to be enough, most likely, I don't think, to knock it out. Yeah, just barely hangs on.
Yeah, the Intimidate's really making an impact at this point, so sure, you're going to get a lot of damage on the Rillaboom, but now the Incineroar's out, you have to fake out. Even if you play, there's nothing here.
Yeah, you got 4 Pokemon. Leonardo also has his own Zacian in the back. The only thing you would have to worry about is Leonardo did take some chip damage on his Zacian there, so depending on how that speed tie works out, or whoever is faster, it actually might be enough for Go to knock it out. But on this turn, you do have the threat of Fake Out and in Grassy Glide or whatever attack the Rillaboom wants to go for. So whenever the Incineroar is allowed to attack, it's going to be able to click Flare Blitz into the Zacian there for a lot of damage. And you might even just save Kyogre later because you don't want the rain up to hinder or to lower the amount of damage that Flare Blitz does from your Incineroar.
Yeah, because that Flare Blitz is definitely a great option to make sure this Zacian is just completely dealt with. Gonna play it out and go for that Protect, try and see how much damage can be done up against these 4 Pokemon. The Fake Out, of course, you have to hit it into the slot just to assure, as the high horsepower from Rillaboom At this point, you're perfectly pinned. Both of these Pokemon are going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing the Zacian can do here because now you can click Flare Blitz, high horsepower. The Protect was the best place so you don't get hit by Fake Out, so you don't take that damage for free. But because of the grassy terrain, Rillaboom's actually able to recover what it would have been losing earlier with the hail when it was up. But Incineroar full HP, Zacian really healthy, Kyogre's still over 50%. It's gonna be this Sacred Sword's not even enough to knock out in one hit either, so it's wrapped up for Leonardo.
Yeah, at this point, you're just getting a little bit of extra information, how much these Pokemon are going to do to you. Try and make sure you have that extra time to think about how you want to be adjusting going into this game too, because when you're stuck in that position where this Dynamax Gastrodon is that option and it's not offering any value, you know there has to be some sort of big switch up heading to the next match.
So I'd like an adjustment from Go to really value that early game Dynamax more from his side.
Yeah, or at least some way to be putting the pressure on, because at this point, too, when you're playing passive against a team that can deal so much damage, you're going to be finding yourself at a disadvantage to the point where you are then behind. You are then Dynamaxing something that isn't really going to be lending you much. And passive is nice sometimes, but this isn't necessarily the case for it. So I'm excited to see how things are adjusted up. The lead, though, the Zacian and the Regieleki is going to be bringing out the other restricted instead of the Yveltal, facing off against the Kyogre and Zacian again for Leonardo.
So the Yveltal, yep, being left in the back at least for the start of this game and opting right into the Zacian mind games on turn one. I don't think either Leonardo or Go can feel comfortable in this position because we did not see any speed tiers interacting between the two of them in game one. So you still do not know which Zacian is faster. And then the struggle that you have of Regieleki versus Kyogre, right? If the Kyogre Dynamaxes, then you could be wasting your attack into it because it wouldn't knock out. But then if you don't respect the Regieleki Dynamax on turn one as an option, you could really take a lot of damage.
Yeah, those Regieleki Dynamaxes are dangerous because they can come out of left field, and it's another Pokemon that can do so much damage. But considering we did see the screens in the first game, not too surprised to see that it's going to go ahead and set it up, because that is a very valuable to the team, and playing that passive and making sure that not much is going to be done. Little bit of damage hit from Go into the Zacian Leonardo's end, and now it'll be a big Behemoth Blade fire off in retaliation, bringing the Regieleki down real low.
Yeah, it's very low. Fortunately, though, for Go, there's no hail this time around to start ticking its HP there. But I like how those two trainers opted to deal with the Zacian mirror here, the matchup. The Go went for the Sacred Sword into the opposing slot, thinking Leonardo might switch it out there, so he didn't think he was going to opt in. He didn't have the guts to play the Zacian game of chicken. And then Leonardo actually clicking Behemoth Blade into the Regieleki, not caring about the other Zacian as well. So I like how these trainers are just like, they're just not opting into that scary position of the Zacians attacking each other.
Yeah, to this point, though, not too many attacks coming out. It'll be a pivot from both ends. The Gastrodon hitting the field from Go side instantly countered with the Rillaboom. That's also going to make its appearance. Protect as the pivots go off just to make sure the Zacian is set up, and the Fake Out will do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you had to protect there just like we saw in game one, because you do not want to take any damage for free on your Zacian, because just, a little bit of HP can be the difference between the opposing Zacian's Behemoth Blade knocking you out or you just barely clinging on there. So now this is also a bad spot for the Gastrodon here, as Rillaboom switches in exactly on the correct turn for Leonardo to have that pressure with Grassy Glide. And because you had the Fake Out on Incineroar before, you also have access to Fake Out potentially with Rillaboom as a Pokemon, gets access to Fake Out, so you could also threaten the Zacian that way. But the Gastrodon said, absolutely under no circumstances can I stay on the field.
Gastrodon's just popping by to say hello. He's got to go. He's more important things to do at this point. The Yveltal taking its place would have withstanded any hit from the Rillaboom much better, but instead, the Rillaboom hitting the high horsepower into the Zacian, and the Zacian's not doing too well at all this turn. It is also going to be the victim of a parting shot.
Yeah, going to lower that attack. It did some solid damage into the Incineroar, right? Bringing it down to under half of its HP. So now Leonardo has to decide, who do I want to bring in here? And the answer is the Zacian, because it would be able to clean up a KO onto the opposing Zacian on Go's side if he is able to outspeed it there. The thing, he also has access to Play Rough into Yveltal, which we saw in Game 1. I think it did about like 90% of the damage to Yveltal. So this is a really tough spot for Go, because both of his Pokemon are really pressured by Leonardo's side, and you don't know. It seems like one hit would be enough to knock it out, and anything that wouldn't get the knockout, a priority Grassy Glide, that chip damage it would provide into that slot with a double target would probably be enough to secure the KO. So now you have Protect Mind games. Is he going to double into my Yveltal because it's full HP, or is he going to try to play a more mid-ground play of one attack into each slot? For Go, this is a really pivotal turn for him here.
And I'm really looking for some mileage to come out of this Yveltal. It didn't really provide much in this first game. It snarled, and we saw just how much damage Kyogre is doing. Anyways, I'd like to see some sort of offensive play, because a lot of counters are happening at this point. The Rillaboom could have been well countered by it, but the Yveltal, maybe realizing how important it could be for this match, is going to go into the back. The Grassy Glide, that's going to hit into the Gastrodon slot. This Slug's not having a great time. Critical hit not going to matter at this point. That Slug was gone anyways.
Yeah, I was really worried about that switching, because like he could Grassy Glide the Yveltal if he wants to double target that slot, so that was not a safe switch in.
Another Sacred Sword, but the Incineroar not swapping in means it's not doing much damage, and the Behemoth Blades that keep getting fired off in retaliation are adding up, and now it is 2 Pokemon down for Go, and down to the final 2. It'll be the Yveltal and the Regieleki, and they have a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, and Leonardo with that 4-2 lead right now, again, looking in such a commanding position in this matchup with Go, forced to bring in his low HP Regieleki and the Yveltal that we really haven't seen do anything besides click Snarl in this set. So you're pretty much forced to, if you want to survive longer than this turn, you're forced to Dynamax the Yveltal. If you want to do as much damage as you can Dynamax the Regieleki. Hope priority Grassy Glide does not KO you. I'm not sure if you would be able to hang on with how low of HP you are. You're probably still knocked out anyway because of the grassy terrain being up, the boost to its damage there. So I don't even know if that's a safe play for you at this spot, and it just shows how strong of a player Leonardo is, and how well he has done throughout Sword and Shield in VGC, because this spot is, did Leonardo even lose a game or a Pokemon in Game 1? I think was it a 4-0 or was it a 3-0?
Regardless, it was a very, very strong showing, and that's, again, what we're seeing at this point. And with only 2 Pokemon remaining, it is the time to go for the Dynamax. It is going to be the Yveltal. I do like this. Sure, Yveltal has things that are a bit more passive, but it can deal some damage. It does have this opportunity to go for the max airstream to make sure that you can set up and try and just steamroll the end of the game by having that speed advantage. Grassy Glide into the Regieleki to finish that off. And now we'll have to see what can it be done. It is going to be a tall to ask, that is for sure, especially now with the Behemoth Blade being fired off. You have to do what you have to do, though. But now, no chance to recover with the Oblivion Wing. It's only going to be damage from here on out. And Zacian not taking any.
No, it's not taking much damage at all, and it's just so unfortunate for Go there, because there could have been another world if you had a better attack. It really stinks that for Go that Zacian resists both the dark and the flying type attacks, which is all Yveltal really has in this format. Because if you could have got the KO on Rillaboom, getting the max airstream boost, outspeeding Zacian, and then being able to knock it out on the next turn, maybe could have got something rolling. But again, remember, we still have an Incineroar in the back. We still have the Kyogre, which could boost its damage by setting up the rain as well. It just was a pretty much like insurmountable matchup here at this current moment when the Yveltal finally Dynamaxed. And we talked in team preview of Game 2, we needed more emphasis on the strong Dynamax usage out of Go in Game 2, and it again came too late in the match.
Yeah, and I feel like there was just a couple of reads as well going in the match. There was a couple of swaps that just weren't going well whatsoever. The Gastrodon coming in, the Zacian from Go's side using that Sacred Sword to try and catch something in on the swap, not opting for that Behemoth Blade. Things that could have gotten a lot of mileage if you're getting those turns correctly, But unfortunately, when things aren't necessarily going your way or your opponent is just making that better read or not going for what you're predicting, it is going to put you a little behind. And one turn too many like that has led to the situation.
Yeah, and I think about the Regieleki too. It is the more supportive set, like we saw it click light screen earlier on, so it might not have a lot of offense, and so that's why it probably wasn't a great Dynamax option for going this matchup, where it might have been a much stronger option than the Gastrodon before in the Yveltal.
Yeah, at least taking a KO the way out. The Incineroar going to be eliminated. It's holding on through a lot of these attacks, just doing a little bit more and a little bit more damage. A full health Kyogre at this point hitting the field. And you can only target one thing at a time with the Yveltal. We already saw that Zacian in the back. It wasn't touching it.
And now the Zacian, or excuse me, the Yveltal losing its Dynamax, using those 3 turns, doesn't have the max airstream to hit the Rillaboom or try to bring the Kyogre down lower. If Kyogre was maybe lower, like 30% HP or something, you could try to do something. But yeah, at this with this 3-1 advantage, Leonardo is going to play it as safe as he can. He wants Rillaboom to be able to switch back out and have fake out later on in the match if something gets knocked out here. So it's definitely the safe play, but Leonardo is definitely feeling a victory coming on.
Especially since Leonardo hasn't even used Dynamax yet, so a safe way to make sure things are nothing chaotic happens. I don't know how things could go awry, but it is day 2 of the Pokemon World Championship.
Yeah, you can't trust anybody.
You can't trust anyone
not even
out here.
yourself.
Absolutely not. So a full HP Dynamax Kyogre. Absolutely no way for the Yveltal to deal with it. And the Rillaboom swapping to the back too is really nice, because this Oblivion Wing, being able to hit that Rillaboom for super effective is a way to recover HP. And I mean, you have to play for any sort of out, any sort of misplay, but now the Max guys are finally going to be cleaning up this match.
Yeah, Kyogre trying to take credit for this match when it hardly did anything. It was really the Rillaboom and the Zacian that were so pivotal for Leonardo Bonanomi in that win. So congratulations to them. A really fun set between these two players from 2 different regions.